What's going on, guys? Welcome again to the Third and 10 podcast. I am your host, Nathan Nguyen. Welcome to our NFC South preview. Brian will not be joining us for this episode as this was pre-recorded, but we have two special guests, Easy N16 from the ATL show. You can find them on Instagram at It's the Radio Show for all their content, but great friends of mine. Love them to death. It was a fun episode to record, and we hope you guys enjoy as well. But me and Brian will be back next week. But enjoy this one as we cover the Bucs, the Panthers, the Falcons, and the Saints in their entirety and their outlook for the 2025 season. Enjoy.
But before we even start, how you guys doing?
Doing good, Nate. It's always good to hang out with you, talking, whether we're on air or off air, but it's great to be back on 3rd and 10 with you for sure.
Yes, sir. Easy, how about you, buddy? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Glad to be back. Just wanted to remind you that we did beat the Giants last year.
Well, at least we have a quarterback, so it's fine.
Yeah.
We
need to talk after the show because, I think there's a quarterback you guys have that y'all won't be using, and we would welcome him back.
Nah, y'all could have kept him when y'all could have, but no, y'all let him go.
I mean,
there's no way he could have stayed, Nate, after what happened at his last game with us. Calling that touchdown with the
coach.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to lose more in a more enjoyable fashion, And I think Jameis brings that to the table.
Yes.
Jackson Dart's looking great in preseason.
He sure does.
Dayball's already said Russell Wilson's a starter. No need to have Jameis as your third string just hanging around. That's what you got. Mama Italian.
No. We don't.
Where's he at? Golly, Tommy DeVito. Hey,
y'all can have him. Hey, we gonna give him to you.
I mean, he's better than what we got, but no thanks.
That is true.
Jameis is from the area,
True.
He's a Southeast guy. Come on.
Fair. Hey man, I want some picks back, so I better get some good picks if we were to trade him away. But we did get.
We got a fifth for you. We got a fifth.
Nah, I'm good. Now I want a fourth, and then we'll talk.
Fourth,
and then next year's third. So
okay, Mickey Loomis, we got the deal done for you. A fourth, for James Winston.
Okay, I want a third too. Just I want a little extra in there.
Well, we'll make the third in 2027. We'll make that like conditional.
That would be fantastic.
Some outrageous condition that won't happen for you to get the pick. So yeah,
that'd be fantastic. I'll take it. But thankfully, he's part of my team for now. But look, boys, I'm glad you guys hopped on for this one as we are covering the NFC South today. Before we start the show, me and Brian, we do this thing where we kind of just speak on what's on our mind for the day. So that's gonna be our first segment of the day. We call it the opening kickoff. So we'll start with 16. 16. What is something that's on your mind today, man? It can be sports related. It could be just anything in general. Just hit me. What you got?
Well, I want to say, Nate, that you're doing a dangerous thing, asking me what's on my mind with no net. You know me well enough at this point to do that. But no, it's fine. It's not a problem. We can get into that part of it. So what exactly is on my mind? Oh, you know what? I'll tell you what's on my mind here real fast. I can say this without a doubt that I am very tired of being served mid-food at fast food spots.
Oh boy,
they're serving up stuff to folks that they wouldn't eat themselves. I mean, they knew them fries was old when they put them in the bag.
Correct.
But yet they did it anyway. So that's what's on my mind right now, being pissed off. I had like 3 or 4 mid experiences within the last week of places that just either didn't season something, totally forgot something, made it wrong, and I'm tired of it. I can't mess up at my job without consequences. They shouldn't be able to also. I'm at the age where I'm calling corporate now. I'm calling corporate.
Where are these places, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I don't want to, I don't know if any of these could be sponsored of Belly Up, so I don't want to flamethrow.
We have no food sponsors, and I think we'll be all right anyways.
Okay, so one of them I'm going to throw a dart at. Jimmy John's Country Days. Didn't make the sandwich right. I spent a gang of money there, and they was like, oh, best we can do is give you $2 off your next sandwich, so, get out of here. Domino's completely messed up my pizza.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
and
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
yeah, with Domino's, I don't blame you. I think I love pizza. I do. But it can get a little crummy when it comes to Domino's. It's always like really crummy on the bottom of each slice. So I don't mess with that either. So, way to call him out. I like that.
Absolutely.
Speak your heart, man.
And one other one too, Nate.
To do it.
Five Guys can also count their days as well because it felt like the burger was falling apart. It seemed like the bun wasn't even very fresh. So all three of them could just kindly go to hell. I'll give you written directions on how to get it.
I love that. Hey, and the fries low-key salty too. Salty.
Yep.
Too salty for my liking, I should say.
There we go.
All right, perfect. Love that 16. Easy. Are we sticking with the food option? Are we still gonna go non-sports related? Or we talking ball right now?
Unlike my brother, I will keep it sports related. I have two things.
All right.
I love the beautiful intro you guys have for the show, and I saw Juan Soto hitting a home run in the beginning.
Shout out to
Brian.
Brian.
And I got to talk about baseball, man. Like, I'm tired of hearing this excuse about, baseball is a sport of tradition, and all these old heads and these boomers that are talking about, like, for those of you who don't know, the commissioner was on the broadcast last night with the Little League World Series Classic, and he was saying that the league is looking at expansion. I think expanding is a great idea. I think they'll do 32 teams, so they'll add 2. And probably shake up the divisions a little bit. As long as you're keeping the rivalries intact, I'm cool with it. But everybody's like, oh, that's a terrible idea. Tradition. We can't even get people to buy the Rays and the A's, which is not true because the Rays literally just sold and the A's are moving to another city. Shut up, okay? Baseball is super popular again. The games are shorter. People are loving the changes that are made. Why not take advantage of the moment and expand to 2 markets, whatever they are, that have the capability to have a team? Okay, we got too many big cities in this country that could fund a team and have it, right? Like, I know a lot of people are throwing around Charlotte and Nashville. There's some teams with NFL teams and NBA teams that don't have an MLB team that could be perfect spots as well. Please shut up about this no expansion thing. So that's my first thing. The second thing, and I'll keep this short too, just looking at the preseason, this rookie class is going to be a lot better than people think. I know coming into it, you had Neighbors last year, you had BTJ, you had Jaden Daniels, all these wonderful guys from Louisiana State University, along with some of the other good people in the class. But this class is going to be pretty good too, and I think it's got a lot of depth to it as well. We're seeing a lot of these guys that were picked in the later rounds, 5th, 6th round, that seem to be making an impact already on teams. And it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds and who makes roster spots and who gets a role right away. So those are 2 things for me that just kind of stick out, keeping it sports related.
I love it. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Hey, whether it's non-sports or sports related, they're all fun topics, I tell you. I want to, to add on to your point about those late round picks, man, hey, sometimes the gems are found in late rounds, man. And whether it's the 5th, 6th, or 7th rounds, we've seen on multiple occasions in years past where those late round picks do pan out better than the early round ones. So, hey, it doesn't matter where you're picked as long as you seize the opportunity and get to work. It's as simple as that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, I guess, per se. Hey, for me, not much on my mind other than my Giants are doing pretty good, and that's all I'll say because my next episode, which will be with Brian, which will come out tomorrow, that will discuss the Giants' win over the Jets in our second. I know it's preseason, but I get my wins whenever I can get it because last year I only got 4 of them? No, 5. No, it was 4. It was 4. We didn't win anything. But it's cool. Anyways, look, my team don't win, but hey, those teams in the NFC South, they have a chance to win quite a few games this year because there are 3 teams that I like in this division that are one of them is a sleeper, one of them is a favorite, obviously, but another one I have some question marks of, and then there's that team, which let's be honest, I kind of have a lot of question marks about. But we'll start with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They won the division last year. Hey, great. I tell you, what a turnaround for Baker Mayfield. I know he went through so much. He was in Cleveland, got drafted number 1 overall. They didn't treat him right. They traded him away. He went to Carolina. Where else he went to? Los Angeles.
Yeah, Carolina. They cut him, and then he had that miracle Thursday Night Football drive with the Rams, and ended up in Tampa. on a prove it deal, and he's proven it.
You're dang right, he has, man. I tell you, I'm impressed. I used to not like him. I was like, this guy's low-key overrated for a first overall pick, but he went through so much, proved himself in different situations, came to Tampa, found a home. Then they re-signed him, or what's it called? They guaranteed him money for next year because the contract that he signed with them last year, the year before, didn't have him getting guaranteed money here in 2026. So thank God they fixed the contract up for his sake, and he's getting paid. So shout out to him. Just want to point him out real quick. Otherwise for Tampa, 10-7 last year, first in the NFC South, 4th straight division title, very impressive. They began the season 3-1, then they kind of went on a little slump. They were at 4-6 at the midseason point, with injuries and just tough losses, but they came back, won 6 of their final 7 games to make the playoffs after, of course, winning the division title. Fortunately, though, they ran to the Commanders, who was everyone's surprise team, and they defeated them 23-20, and that was the end of their season. Let's be honest, I had the Bucs winning that game, but hey, the Commanders shocked a lot of people last year and probably ruined a lot of bets. So, but regardless, hey, heck of a season still. Baker Mayfield, like we just talked about him, over 4,500 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, made the Pro Bowl. Take that with as you will. And the offense, 4th in league scoring, great 3rd down conversion rate. Bucky Irving was fantastic. I know Rachaad White was a starter at the beginning, but then Bucky Irving kind of came in, ran for over 1,000 yards, and made the all-rookie team. So shout out to him as well. And then Mike Evans, of course, Mr. Consistent, 1,000 yards once again for Tampa. I'm glad he was able to continue that streak in the last game of the season. And great regular season for them last year. Now, in terms of the offseason, they brought back Chris Godwin and Levante David. I like the former move rather than the latter. I mean, David's a respected veteran, but Chris Godwin, he's fantastic. I wanted him to come back, especially after that injury he suffered last year. Glad he's back with the team. I think Shepard's still on the team as well. In terms of the draft picks that they made, love their draft. They got Egbuka, the receiver from Ohio State. They got Benjamin Morrison, one of my favorite corners from Notre Dame in the 2nd round, followed by Jacob Parrish, David Walker, Elijah Roberts, and receiver Ted Johnson from Oregon to round out their draft. So before we get to our burning question, what are your guys' thoughts on the Bucs offseason? It can be draft, it can be the veteran moves the veteran signings that they made. Before we get to our burning question for Tampa, we'll start with Easy. What are your thoughts on Tampa? Good sir.
Just not being biased, I think Tampa has a really good team. I really like their offseason. The only move I didn't like was re-signing Chris Godwin. And the price point is pretty hefty. His injury history is pretty extensive at this point. Not so much as the occurrence, but just the major injuries that he's had. Like, he blew out his knee one of these years. He had the ankle injury this past year that took him out after the year was over. I just felt like they could have probably used that money elsewhere. And then you go get Egbuka in the draft. Jalen McMillan was really good for them back half of last year. So I really question that move with them. Obviously, it seems like they're going to take it slow with him, which makes sense.
Yes.
But they got a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. And they have a lot of talent at the receiver position and at the running back position, like you mentioned, for Rachaad White and Bucky Irving. I mean, they're still a really good team. They didn't do anything that would make them worse. And you went through who they kept. No, they didn't lose anybody of impact, right? So, they had a really good offseason. And they did what I like teams to do. They drafted the best player available. And you figure it out later.
Yeah, man.
Egbuka, you could argue they could have went with somebody else, but he was the best player on the board at that point, and he is going to be good. It's just out the gate, what's his involvement going to look like on the offense?
Yeah, he's a savvy route runner type. He's not crazy electric, and maybe I'm saying that because he was overshadowed by his teammate at Ohio State, which is Jeremiah Smith, who is fantastic. I'm excited for him when he declares for the draft because whoever drafts him will be one lucky team for sure. But Egbuka, he was always so solid, during his times at Ohio State. So, look, I'm glad he's here. I think he obviously steps in as the receiver number 2. There's concerns as to whether Godwin will be ready for this before the season starts. Because I think from what I heard, Tampa doesn't know if they want to start him on the reserve or / pup list, or if they want to just however they want to approach it. Just it's a bit questionable as we are recording this at this time. So if he's going to be on the pup list, Egbuka slides as that receiver number 2. You talk about McMillan. So fill in as that number 3 guy. I mean, McMillan he showed some flashes last year. Kind of want to see more from him before I kind of declare him or before I give my thoughts on him more per se. But I love Egbuka. I think he's going to be solid for years to come for Tampa. And then, of course, it's Mike Evans, who just continues to stay consistent. And even when he's out for a few games, still gets 1,000 yards like it's nothing. So, but 16, your thoughts on Tampa, offseason moves, whatever the case may be. What are your thoughts on them as well?
Well, for me, looking at Tampa, Easy was alluding to it before that, they basically brought everybody back when it comes to that, because they had what you could consider, especially in this division, a high-powered offense. So bringing back all the weapons was important. But the thing that I guess stands out for me is that when does the regression kick in for them? Will it happen? It's going to be another first-place schedule for them, because you mentioned they won a division, so they're going to be having a tough first-place schedule. So I'm looking at it more of, when does it happen where I feel like Baker comes back down to earth, and how do they deal with that adversity when he starts having those games where he's not lighting it up? Because that can happen. And how do they respond to it? They got the best skilled players on offense in the division. So for me, it's about if we see regression from them, or can they maintain that? If they regress, I mean, they could end up being a mid team, but even being mid in this division might still be enough to get them over the hump. So that's my thing, is just to see if they're going to regress or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's a blessing to play in the South, I tell you. It is not. It's the opponents the Bucs have to face in their division aren't that intimidating, let's be honest. So they are honestly favorites to win the whole division. The thing is, though, you mentioned how, finishing in first place means a tougher schedule. That is the case for Tampa, especially in the early part of the season. After they get through Atlanta and Houston and the Jets, you have Philadelphia, you have Seattle, you have SF, and then you have Detroit. So that 4-game stretch right there, that's going to be tough. And that's when we'll see what this Tampa Bay team is made of, because those are 4 tough opponents and especially that road game against Seattle, that's going to be fun to watch for sure. But the other 3 teams in Philly, SF, and Detroit, they're obviously, when they're healthy, they're really dang good. So, we talked about the team and their offseason. So the burning question for the Bucs is, do you guys think a deep playoff run is in their future? Because, hey, they made the playoffs again last year, because after they won the division and whatnot, but they were out in the first round. I honestly thought they could have made it into the divisional round if they took care of business against the Commanders. But of course they did not. So, with the team they have, with the offseason moves they made, do you guys see a deep playoff run, maybe like a conference championship, or are we talking, is it kind of premature to say that at this point in time? We'll start with 16.
No, is the short answer.
Okay. All right.
I'm trying to ease my bias, because I do not like Tampa Bay at all.
Fair.
But no, I don't. A lot of times when teams like this are in a dogfight in a division that's like not up to par, usually they're being set up, like we like to joke about, Nate, wild card weekend on a Saturday.
Yep.
Playing against a more superior team, you get sent home. So no, I don't expect a deep run from Tampa Bay if they were to get into the playoffs, either a wild card or winning the division. They got that feel of a one and done team that'll give some team a rough time in the playoffs, but I wouldn't pencil them in for any further in January than the first week if they get in.
Fair enough. Do we agree with that as well, Easy, or are we taking the opposite take here?
Yeah, just based on your definition of deep playoff run, the NFC is deep in general.
No doubt.
I just don't see them making a deep playoff run. You win the division, right? You definitely host a playoff game. You get in the playoffs. But, you just look around the conference, and I know you guys are going to do that in your other previews, but, I don't think they're better than the Rams. I think if San Francisco is doing what they typically do without the injuries, I think they're a better team. You look at, your guys' division, the NFC East, the Eagles and Commanders are definitely better than them. The Commanders showed that last year.
For sure.
Depending on what version of the Cowboys you get, that's going to be a good team. And then the NFC North, you got Green Bay, Detroit, depending on what happens with J.J. McCarthy in Minnesota, depending on what happens with Caleb Williams and the Bears, those are both good teams too. It's just going to come down to quarterback play for both of them. This conference is super stacked, and they would have to have a lot of luck go their way to make it to a Super Bowl. And that can happen. It's football. Things happen any given Sunday, as they like to say. But it's going to be tough. They have a lot of teams that would be in front of them for sure.
Yeah. Look, especially in the South, all you have to do is just win the division and you're in. That it's as simple as that when it comes to Tampa Bay and their mission. And then when you get to the postseason, you'll figure out from there. I think it's possible. I think it is. It's the only thing I'm worried about is their defense. Rushing defense wise, they were fourth best in the league last year. They brought back their guy. I mean, not brought back, but they still have Vita Vea on their team. They have Kalajic Hansu, who I like as well. It's just the pass rush that I'm kind of worried about low key. They were 29th in passing defense last year, so that was like the third worst, averaging allowing 243 yards per game passing wise. Like that's not great to hear. Scoring wise, they allowed 22.6 points per game, which is in the average. They were seventh and sixth worst in interceptions. So I do want to see a better pass defense. Consistent pass rush, and they kind of did try to help that with signing Hassan Reddick, who I kind of like. It's just you don't know what version you're getting. Are you gonna get the Jets version where he didn't do crap? You want to get the other version with the Cardinals that he went where he was actually good. So hopefully he turns it around for Tampa's sake. And if not, I'm trying to think of the other guy in my notes here. Yaya Diaby, he's a solid guy as well. So look, I think they can. I think offensively they're stacked. Bucky Irving is fantastic. Mike Evans, very consistent. Chris Godwin, if he can get healthy towards the late part of the season, it'll be good to see him on the field, especially for that offense. You have Egbuka, you have McMillan, and Baker Mayfield always plays with a chip on his shoulder, even though he honestly shouldn't do that anymore, but people still doubt him. So that chip will always be there for the rest of his career, it seems like. So I think they can. I think they'll surprise some people if all goes well, but that defense just needs to definitely shape up a little better if they're gonna prove me right. But your guys' points are perfectly valid for their respective reasons. And offensively, if there's one concern I have about that offense is that how is this gonna? I know it's not gonna drastically change, but they did lose their OC Liam Cohen to Jacksonville. So Josh Glizzard, or is it Gizzard? Grizzard, my apologies. Steps in as the new OC, so we'll see how that goes for the Bucs. But yeah, I think we are all in agreement when we can. Well, if I said that they'll be first place in the NFC South this year, we can all agree on that, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 16. Okay. Well, we'll find out what your first place team is.
I'm just messing, Nate. I just by default, yeah. I'm just messing.
I know. I was just trying to see. I was like, wait, does he really think that the other teams are gonna be first? We'll see. But hey, all right. On to the next team in the NFC South. They finished second in the division last year, which is the Atlanta Falcons. Which, hey, I don't know what to think about Atlanta. All right. So look, they finished last year 8-9, better than their 7-10 records in the last 3 seasons at least. So we'll take it. Didn't make the playoffs, so this is gonna be that last year was the 7th straight season that they didn't make the postseason. But it looked like they were. They began the year 6-3. That was their best start since 2016. Kirk Cousins looked great in week 5, throwing for like over 500 yards. And then they went on a 4-game losing streak. Turnovers, defensive breakdowns, execution was bad. Kirk Cousins was benched. Michael Penix came in and energized the offense, however you want to put that. But then they had a chance to make the postseason, but they lost to the Panthers in Week 18. Shout out to Carolina. And then the Bucs won against the Saints, and then that eliminated the Falcons in playoff contention. And yeah, that was tough. But hey, there's still some highlights to talk about from last year. Kirk Cousins led the team with over 3,500 passing yards. Michael Penix, over 3 starts, had over 700 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions. Bijan Robinson, who is arguably the number 1 overall pick in this year's fantasy draft. Shout out to you, Easy. I know you'll be in my league this year. Yeah, over 1,400 rushing yards and 15 total touchdowns for the running back in Atlanta. And then the Drake London had 100 catches for over 1,200 receiving yards and 9 touchdowns to lead the team. And the offensive line, 6th in the NFL in terms of Pro Football Focus grades. Shout out to Jake Matthews and Chris Lindstrom for holding down the fort over there in Atlanta. Defensively, though, last year, and not the best. They finished 23rd in points per game allowed. Their worst scoring defense since 2021. But AJ Terrell and Jesse Bates had solid seasons on their own. But hey, this offseason, some optimism for Falcons fans. They announced that Michael Penix will be their starter, so we'll see if they trade Kirk Cousins before the season begins. I don't know. It's been kind of quiet on that end, it seems like. But this offseason, Grady Jarrett, unfortunately, was released, but they added Leonard Floyd. Morgan Cox joined the team. Mike Hughes also signed a 3-year, $18 million extension to stabilize that secondary. They also re-signed Jake Matthews to a 2-year extension as well. And then draft-wise, they made some solid moves that I like as well. As I'm trying to pull up my notes, I have like a bunch of notes here. I'm just trying to kind of get them all organized here. But they got Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr., 2 edge rushers that at first I was like 2 edge rushers back to back, but hey, you can never have too many pass rushers after I thought about it. So they signed Xavier Watts, one of my favorite safeties from Notre Dame. Go Irish. Another safety in Billy Bowman, and then they finished the draft with Jack Nelson, the offensive tackle from Wisconsin. So very defensive heavy for Atlanta. And hey, why not take it seriously? Because that defense sure could use some help, I tell you. So with that being said, we'll start with 16 this time. Your thoughts on Atlanta's offseason, and we'll go from there.
Okay, this is going to pain me because out of any team that I hate, the Falcons, I hate them the most. But I feel like they were very competent in the things that they were doing this offseason. And you know what, Easy? I got to tell you something, man. This is being recorded, me praising the Falcons. But if there's any team based on what they had left over from last year and what they did this year could challenge Tampa Bay for the division, and it wouldn't shock me if they were – well, let me say this, that if – like Nate was talking about their defense and things like that, but if they can somehow – like that, their offense got them closer to 500 last year. So if they could just maintain some consistency, they could challenge for the division. They could be pesky. They got Kirk Cousins out of there. He's a backup. They got Michael Penix in there because Kirk Cousins didn't have any more velocity on his ball anymore. So get him out of there. So it's all about the quarterback. If Penix can perform and do some of the things that he's shown flashes of last year, this is a team that could be around in that point. So I feel like they did enough to – it wasn't really status quo with them. And usually Atlanta sometimes can be status quo, like come back with what we got and see what happens. And I feel like they went against that. So I hate to do it, but I got to give them credit for not looking totally incompetent this offseason.
I love it. I love it. I love how you're putting your bias aside for the sake of this episode.
It's painful.
Pain, isn't it? Hey, yes. I'm going to suffer that in 2 weeks when we have to talk about the Eagles and praise them for their Super Bowl last year. But anyways, I digress. No, but you make a good point about Michael Penix. So I think the same thing. This season hinges on him. If he plays well, if he shows his potential like we saw at Washington with his just deep ball ability and ability to push the ball down the field, especially with the weapons they have in Atlanta, I think they'll be just fine. And if he doesn't play well, I don't know how it's gonna be messy because Kirk Cousins is still there too. But it's like if I'm Kirk, I'm like, damn. So all of a sudden, he's bad, and y'all want to put me in. I was like, I don't know I don't know. I'm just thinking, and if that were to happen, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully, it doesn't have to get to that point if you're the Falcons. But Easy. What about you, my friend? Your thoughts on Atlanta's offseason?
I mean, I thought it was okay. I mean, it didn't seem. I think letting go to Grady Jarrett is going to be a huge loss for them. None of their free agent signings really just blew me away, if you will. I thought they had a good draft. I liked Pierce Jr. And I liked the other guy that they drafted. Remind me of his name.
It was I literally forgot it myself.
Because I know Pierce Jr. is from Tennessee, and I think he's going to be
Jalen Walker, the Georgia. He's a
Jalen Walker from Georgia, right? Those were 2 guys that I was kind of hoping that the Saints would go after in round 1. I'll say this. I liked Michael Penix. I liked him coming out. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback. But he's got to step it up this year. And I know it's like, oh, it's year 2, blah, blah, blah. Look, your team traded away their first-round draft pick to get back into the first round to grab Pierce Jr. Your team doesn't have a first-round pick. So you, as an organization, are saying this team is a playoff team. We're not worried about the draft pick because it's going to be in the back half of the first round. So you have no choice but to be good, because if not, you just gave up an early pick that you can't have. You gave it up. So for them, I don't think they're better than Tampa Bay. I think Carolina's closer to them than people think. 16 had mentioned it. I think a lot of they're gonna have to be more consistent this year. They were in the battle, for a playoff spot until the very end, until the very last week of the season. But Michael Penix has got to be damn near elite for them to make it. Just because, they're just going to need that from him. You've had Drake London, you've had Bijan, you've had Kyle Pitts. They've all been there, and they've all played well. They've all shown flashes. But we've seen, you're going to need an elite quarterback play to get to the playoffs, and I'm not sure. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just to combine both your points together, it's essential that Penix does well, because I feel like the pressure is on because of who got drafted after him. And I'm not talking about JJ McCarthy, because we have no idea how the heck that's going to turn. We really don't. I have hope for him. I mean, he won a national championship.
You're talking about Bo Nix. Bo Nix was lights out.
Fantastic. Hey, made the postseason his first year. He was a starter week 1, and he started slow, but picked it up in the second half and entered his second year. I have high hopes for him, and we talked about it on the AFC West preview. So I think that's why the pressure is high. It's going to be, it's going to be on for Penix to perform this year, and he has the weapons to do so. He's got Bijan, he's got Tyler Algier behind him. Drake London, Darnell Mooney's still there. Not mistaken. Barry McLeod is solid too. We'll talk about Kyle Pitts in just a bit. But he has the weapons. He really does. And I do hope he shows what he can do. Otherwise, there's going to be some question marks as to whether or how bad Atlanta just fumbled this whole quarterback situation. You had a guy in Kirk Cousins who looked great for maybe half the year, and then stumbled down, as the calendar turned to November, December, and then he threw in Penix, and he had some flashes. Didn't play good, but he didn't play bad. Towards in the games that he played, so we'll see what happens. But I think the question that we all want to know, or that we all want to have answered, because we've been waiting on this guy for so long now. It's is he ever gonna pan out? And that's Kyle Pitts. Last year, 47 catches, 602 yards, 4 touchdowns. So he was average, but for a guy that was drafted in the first round, in the early rounds too, you expect a little bit more. So we'll start with you, Easy, because not just from a fantasy perspective, because for me, if I'm answering this from a fantasy perspective, I believe that he is the answer because I drafted him in a few of my leagues. So I kind of hope he does pan out. But do you think this is the year that Kyle Pitts finally breaks out and shows why he was a first-round talent, despite the fact that it could be now 5 years late since he was?
So Nate, I'm pretty direct usually with my answers, but I'm gonna play devil's advocate both ways with this scenario, right?
Sure.
So let's look at the pros of Kyle Pitts, right? Coming out, he was a highly regarded prospect, one of the best we've seen come out at the tight end position, probably in a while. Here lately, though, the Brock Bowers, the Tyler Warrens, the Colston Lovelands of the world, all very similar profiles. Brock Bowers was excellent right away. He's still young. Kyle Pitts is only 23, 24.
24 years. That's still young. Yes, sir.
So he can still flip the switch and get it going. But there were times when they didn't target him. They didn't throw the ball his way. He had very limited opportunities to make an impact. With that being said, though, he's going to have to show some eliteness. And what I mean is he's going to have to be like 900 yards, 1,000 yards, double-digit touchdowns. And you're saying, oh, well, why? Well, look who they picked over him. Jamar Chase was the next pick after. Jalen Waddle, Patrick Surtain, Devontae Smith. You needed a quarterback at the time. You passed up on Justin Fields. Now, obviously, the jury's still out on Justin Fields, but, you know, all of them, you could argue, have had a better career than Kyle Pitts at this point. Obviously, Jalen Waddle and Jamar Chase definitely have. You know what I'm saying? You could argue Devontae Smith, too. So at this point, it's really just about Kyle Pitts' pride and really the direction the organization wants to go with him. Because at this point, if he's not good this year, you might as well just chuck your losses and either cut him or try to trade him. Like, you having Jamar Chase on the board and you took him over Jamar Chase looks like malpractice at this point. This looks like how we look at the Eagles with Jalen Reagor and Justin Jefferson. Now, the only thing that's saving the Eagles is that they've still been winning Super Bowls and they made up for it with the A.J. Brown trade. But the Falcons don't have rings or an A.J. Brown trade, you know what I'm saying, to make up for this whiff. So this is the year for him. I know we just talked about the pros and how he's young, he's athletic, great profile as a draft prospect. But the rubber's got to hit the road here, man. And my fear about this offense is that I feel like instead of spreading the ball around to Drake London and Bijan, I think they're going to try to force feed Kyle Pitts to try to make a point about the draft pick. And that might be a recipe for disaster.
Hey, but for fantasy owners, I'm just saying, like, ooh, that, you know,
well, from a fantasy perspective, and again, it's not hating, but I can name you like 10 tight ends I would take over Kyle Pitts.
Hey, I believe it. But I'm just saying, you get him in the late round and he plays well. Shoot, hey, you got yourself a winner right there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But there's a solid 10 that I'm taking over Kyle Pitts, man.
No, I agree, 100%. No, but I have faith in him too. I do. I think, you know, Penix made a point, I believe, earlier in camp where I think he was connecting with Pitts a lot at one point during practice, and in his post game he was like, "Y'all like that, huh? Me connecting with Pitts." That's what he was referring to, and I was like, "Okay, maybe there's some hope here in that Pitts will turn it around." Hey, he's caught one touch. He caught one touchdown his rookie year. He got 2 his second year. He caught 3 in his third year, and he caught 4 in his fourth year. So you know what that means? He's gonna catch at least 5 in this season, right? I mean, based off just the pattern we're going here. No, but in all seriousness, I love Pitts a lot. He's an athletic guy coming out. He was an athletic guy coming out of the draft. He still is athletic. We just haven't really seen it as much. So hopefully, you know, Penix does spread the ball around, but does maybe give more targets to Pitts to see what we may have been missing for the past 4 years. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But 16, your thoughts as well on Kyle Pitts. Do you think this is the year for him, or you're gonna go on the negative side here for him?
No, I'm gonna pivot in a different direction and say, you know how sometimes when an organization will draft a player and you ask yourself, well, what have they done to, I guess, help the progression with this player? So if you look at the quarterbacks that he's played with, so he got drafted 2021. So
2021, yep.
So we're talking about a washed Matt Ryan coming in his first season. He's got
Mariota throwing the tight ends though, that we gotta put an asterisk to there.
But again, a washed Matt Ryan, keyword, he was done at that point in time. Then when Matt Ryan's gone, you got Marcus Mariota, and then you got Desmond Mitter throwing to him.
Yes.
Then you get Kirk Cousins in there who's lights out, but then his arm falls apart on him where he has no velocity on his ball anymore. And then you got Michael Penix coming in. So some of that has to be placed on who's been throwing to the guy. How do you know about his full potential unless he's matched up with somebody who can actually get him the football on a consistent basis? So I feel like the experiment with him, if Penix is going to be their guy going forward, that you got to get him time to gel. So I know this is his 5th season, going into his 5th season. The jury's still out on him on what he can be based on what was thrown to him the previous 4 years. That's how I'm looking at it.
I'm saying Matt Ryan. What's it called? Easy mentioned that Matt Ryan loves throwing the tight ends. Kyle Pitts had a 1,000-yard season. His rookie year, he just didn't have the touchdowns to back it up. So that was kind of where everyone was like, "Oh, okay." So he got the yards, just not the touchdowns.
Real quick, I know we were talking about fantasy, so I wrote down 12 names of 12 players I would take before Pitts in fantasy draft. So you're getting free game, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. Let's see.
So, and this is no particular order. I just started off the dome. Tyler Warren, Kittle, Bowers, Laporta, David Njoku, Colston Loveland, the rookie for the Bears, Mark Andrews, Evan Ingram, Trey McBride, TJ Hawkinson, Tucker Graff, Dalton Kincaid.
No Kelsey?
I didn't even get Kelsey on there. That's 13.
Nah, take Kraft out because Pitts is better than Kraft for sure.
Do we know that though?
I do. Oh, for sure. But at this point in time, yeah, we do.
I think I like Kraft's situation better. Better quarterback. Here's the thing. Better quarterback. I like Golden.
I stay away from
Golden.
Yeah.
But they don't have a true number one receiver.
Dobbs. Reed. Watson when healthy.
Well, those are all number ones. If Romeo Dobbs is like, he's a nice goal line type guy, jump ball, but he's not a number one.
You know,
like Drake London is a number one. You know,
true.
You know
honestly, I really hoped Watson was the number one. I really hope.
Kraft and Kincaid are in the same spot for me because both teams don't have a wide receiver one, and I can see them both being featured in their respective offenses.
True.
If a receiver doesn't step up. But just for, giggles, as we call it, I just grabbed the NFL.com article.
Okay.
And they have Kyle Pitts at 16th in their tight end rankings.
Who's 15th?
They have in the neighborhood. So Kraft, Kincaid, Jonnu Smith, Tyler Warren, Jake Ferguson, Dallas
Jonnu Smith is going to die in Pittsburgh. He's going to die.
I feel like
Arthur Smith. That is the OC. He's going to die in Pittsburgh. I don't know what is NFL smoking on. Like,
I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't just me being biased. So I had to double check myself. But yeah, they have him as.
I'm taking Pitts. I'm putting Pitts at like 12. I'm not taking him. He's not top 10, but like late round sleeper. I'll slide him in there. But
like you said it right. If you get him as your backup and he blows up, then it's a great,
Hey, then you look like a smart A, and
you could trade him and go get a starter or something.
That's what I'm saying. See, I'm telling you, that's why you better stay away from Kyle Pitts when we draft, my friend.
Don't worry. Hey, look, you know me. He is all yours, my friend.
Fantastic. If you draft Jonnu Smith, I will laugh. Literally, I will call you and laugh at you myself.
I don't know, man. Jonnu Smith getting like a jet sweep at the 1 yard line like his Falcons days. I don't know. Sounds nice to me.
Yeah, and Arthur Smith will look like a freaking maniac if I saw that one. But anyways, we move on to our third team in the division, which is the Carolina Panthers. And oh boy, I have a lot of optimism for this squad. I love this the Panthers. I do. Look, last year 5-12. Last year, third in the division. Actually, they would have been fourth, but because of tiebreakers, they finished ahead of them. So good for them. Began the year 1-7, and it was just so much negativity, and it's like, oh, is Bryce Young the answer? And then they turned it around after beating my Giants in overtime in London, or Germany, or wherever it was. And I watched that game, and I saw Tyrone Tracy fumble that football in overtime, and rest in peace to my season. But anyways, but the Panthers, they were still bad. They were really bad, actually. They allowed the most points allowed in a single season. And it had the worst point differential, averaging 31.4 points per game allowed.
That's
and the point
16's
differential,
favorite stat in the whole world is point differential.
It tells you everything you need
to know.
Tells you
everything you need to know. It's everything. I tell you, I love stat. You know me, I love numbers, man. And when I saw this, I was just like, oh, sheesh.
Now, you said 31 points, right?
31.4 points per game allowed and a point differential of negative 193.
It's an absolute miracle that this team actually won 5 games with that kind of point differential.
Hey, they pulled it off, man. Looking at their wins, they barely beat Arizona in OT last year.
I think all of their wins were like close. They didn't blow anybody out.
That is amazing.
Yep. I'm looking at 36-22 over Vegas. That was their only
double-digit
blowout win. Yeah, double-digit win. They beat the Saints 23-22. They beat my team in overtime 2017. They beat the Cardinals in OT 36-33. They beat the Falcons at 44-38 in OT. Hey, you put this, if they go into OT, hey, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm about to say, that was 3-1 in OT? It's pretty impressive.
Hey, it takes a minute for them to figure things out last year, but when if you give them an extra period, these boys will fight. I tell you. No, but hey, Carolina 5-12. But hey, this offseason, they made some moves, man, and I like it. Let's start with the veteran guys that they brought in terms of the offseason. They made some change. I'm trying to think. No, actually, no. What changes did they make? No, I'm thinking draft. My apologies. I'm thinking of the draft because honestly, their draft was like the highlight of the
excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent draft.
One of my favorites. Whoo! Ted McMillan. I love him. He's going to be an excellent number one. I know Xavier Legette.
Let me gush about him in a few minutes.
Oh, I can't wait till you do. I'm telling you, I may gush too much about him, so I'm just give him all the. I'll let.
I'm a huge fan of him. He is going to be excellent.
Hey, he's tall, man. He's solid. 6'5", 212 receiver. They got Nick Stroud in the second round. He did have a collapsed lung. I believe yesterday he suffered the injury. So prayers to him. Hopefully he gets healthy soon. They also drafted Prince Umalianen from Ole Miss, Trevor Etienne, Lathan Ransom, the safety from Ohio State. They got Cam Jackson, Mitchell Evans, and one of my favorite late round receivers, Jimmy Horn Jr. from the Colorado Buffaloes. So great offseason for them. Dave Canal still the head coach, and this offense it looks great, man. I'm excited for what their offense can do. But we'll start with you, Easy, as I'll let you do the gushing here for Mr. McMillan. But after you do that, of course, what are your other thoughts on Carolina's offseason after?
Yeah, Carolina, I like right now, I know you didn't mention any, but I can't think of any big free agent acquisitions they made.
I can't either, yeah.
But getting Tet at the 9th pick, which I feel like that was too low. He should have went way earlier in the draft. To me, it said two things. Number one, okay, Bryce Young, you're our guy. We're going to get you some help. Some people would argue that they didn't need a wide receiver. I would argue that they needed to go back and get a receiver because I know they got Legette last year. Jalen Coker came on, looked really good as an undrafted rookie. Adam Thielen's old. Shout out to the OG. You know, it's going to have to end at some point for my boy. Jimmy Horn Jr. was another great pick at wide receiver. But Tet is going to come in right away and be that number one, be that security blanket. He had a beautiful college profile, was a great prospect. I think people comping him to Mike Evans. I think that might be undercut. I think he's a little more explosive. He's definitely got the same frame. He can go get the ball. He's a great route runner. Carolina could be number 2 in this division. They could fight for number 1. And I know I'm stating the obvious, but it all comes down to Bryce Young.
It does.
He's looked good in spurts, but now the pressure is on him. We talked about Kyle Pitts. The pressure is really on Bryce Young because of what Carolina gave up to pick him at number 1 overall. And look at who was drafted the pick later with CJ Stroud. You know what I'm saying? CJ Stroud, back-to-back playoff wins, appearances, turned the Houston Texans around overnight. Now you got to show up, Bryce Young. You got to be a playoff team this year. You got to lead this team to the playoffs because your team traded up to get you and gave away what ended up being the number 1 overall pick. A pick they could have used to continue to improve the roster. They gave that up for you, bud. But now you got to go get it. They have a good roster, but it's all up to Bryce Young. Chuba Hubbard is a good running back, serviceable. They went and get Rico Duato, add some depth there. You mentioned Trevor Etienne. I think he could probably end up being their RB2 there. You got weapons. You got a good offensive line that they invested in heavily the offseason before. Now it's time to put up or shut up. Today's NFL, 16 can educate us on it. But back in the day, they used to give you 4 or 5 years to figure it out. They ain't doing that no more. If Bryce Young don't show up, they gonna have to go somewhere else and find another quarterback.
Damn right. I love how you had him possibly getting second, maybe battling for the first place spot if things go well. But I'll finish that point after 16. We get 16 thoughts here on Carolina. Your thoughts on their offseason as well. They didn't make many veteran, moves. I know Easy mentioned Rico Dowdle, but he's kind of one of those quiet, under the radar, not so much dimension moves really. So that's kind of how, I guess, bad their veteran additions were in the offseason. But your thoughts, 16, on Carolina for this upcoming season?
Well, for me, I gotta go like in the opposite of what my brother is saying, because I feel like it's development over wins in 2025 for Carolina, meaning that I would expect more long-term like growth for them versus an immediate playoff push. Easy was mentioning, back in the day, you would have got a little bit longer leash on a quarterback, like especially a rookie quarterback drafted real high, to see what you have with him, and now the leash is a little bit shorter. But I feel like they're in it for the long haul to develop this team surrounding Bryce Young. So I feel like this year will be more or less another growing pains year where it's kind of up and down. I don't see them advancing that far to try to like compete for the division. I feel like that's too much of a hill to climb for them. I feel like this is
I just feel like they don't have a choice. Like,
well, I don't think
this is your third year with Bryce Young. Last year you benched him for Andy Dalton. So you basically shunned him in front of the whole NFL community. You had Andy Dalton starting for however many games that was, 5 games or whatever that was.
Mm-hmm.
He came back in. He looked good, showed some spurts, towards the end of the year. But if you look at the stat line, it wasn't good. I think he barely got over 2,000 yards, and he had like 15 touchdowns to 9 picks. It's not good. You're the number 1 overall pick. And if we're being fair, why would Atlanta be ready to compete for the title, but Carolina's not? They have a quarterback that's.
I think Atlanta has better skill players.
Well, I mean, yeah, the skill players, but the quarterback is in his second year. Bryce Young's in his third year. You would think Bryce Young would be more prepared to take the leap than Michael Penix.
Because with the experience too Young has had 2 years of starting experience.
If we basing it off of tenure.
Yeah.
Now I'm with you though. The Falcons skill position is the Carolina isn't too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
But you could argue that Atlanta has an elite player at running back and wide receiver.
Yeah, that was my point. With potentially, you could say that Kyle Pitts could be another player that could be considered if he lives up to what people expect him to be, another elite player. That's why I skipped to saying Michael Penix has a little bit more to work with in that aspect. And then sometimes people who are drafted high like this, where you expect certain things from them, maybe they're just a different type of quarterback. Where I don't want to use the word game manager because I feel like it's almost disrespectful to Bryce Young, but maybe he's more in the category of somebody who, I'm going to use the word caretaker at this point before he breaks out. I call him a caretaker.
I like that.
I just feel like it's like
take care of the football, caretaker. I got
caretaker. You. But I'm just saying in this aspect, I just feel like Carolina feels more like a work in progress, developmental type team that is going to still experience growing pains. And I'm just not ready to see them show those flashes in that aspect.
But 16, I gotta put your foot to the fire here, man, because you are Mr. Accountability here. He was the first overall pick. If he comes out the gate and he looks bad and gets benched again, it's over for him. You know that.
Yeah, and I'm quick to pull
He's
out
gonna be on Cleveland or the Saints or some crappy team by next year.
All right, because I'm quick to pull out this thing, Nate, where I'll say, okay, so based on where it could be somebody who was really good, and I'll give you an example real quick. I don't want to take up too much time. But when we drafted Reggie Bush back in the day, Easy I thought was about to fight me one day because I said, you know what? Based on where Reggie Bush was drafted, even though he's a good player, he's a bust. And he's like, what are you talking about? Reggie Bush is not a bust. I'm saying, but he's the number 2 pick in the draft. Based on where he was drafted, he's a bust. But he's still a good player. So it is very possible that Bryce Young could still end up being a really good player, but considered a bust based on where he was drafted. All I'm saying is we're talking about the 2025 season. that I feel like Carolina's going to be doing more developing versus trying to contend. And they probably would be more for his development, more towards trying to build instead of trying to push to contention, because even if you do, you're not going anywhere. So why ruin what you could do to continue to build a team trying to compete for a division when you know you're not going anywhere? That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. I think, like we mentioned with Penix a little bit earlier too, how we saw this, we saw the success of Bo Nix, and how he was obviously chosen after Penix was. That kind of puts pressure on Penix to perform this season. I think kind of the same thing to maybe a level more above compared to the Penix and Nick situation. So the same thing is for Young and Stroud, but it's kind of a tier above, because look, Stroud made the postseason and he looked phenomenal in his rookie year. Last year, you could argue it wasn't that he kind of slumped, but rather just his first season, Stroud's first season was so good that his second year being as average as it was just like, oh, so he had a sophomore slump.
Well, I'll take his average.
Fairness,
that's the
division and the playoff.
I'll say, in fairness, though, yes, great rookie year, but when you give a league a year to study tape on you, you're gonna have some regression when they have a moment to take a look at you. Fairness.
Oh yeah, but like he still looked good. And it's like the poor guy had Diggs go down, Dell go down in a disgusting way. Tank Dell to be exact. And it's like, and he still performed, like he did well. So it's like Stroud has had at least good years. Young has had what, maybe two months of good football play, of good play. If that. It was like towards late in the year where they were out of contention and he just suddenly turned it up. And heck, if it wasn't for a car accident that sidelined Andy Dalton, who knows if Young still has a second chance with the Panthers? Like it took a car accident for Dave Canales to be like, all right, Young, go back out there and let's see what you can do. And thankfully, Young stepped up to the challenge and played well after that car accident to Andy Dalton. So who knows what would have happened if Dalton was healthy and didn't get into no accidents. So, no, but I have faith. I have faith in him. I do. I think there's no excuses. I mean, you have. I get it. The weapons are young. I know. There's no really veteran. Adam Thielen's not going to do nothing. If anything, Hunter Renfrow might do something. I mean, we saw what Renfrow could do when he was with the Raiders. Like, he looked good. He's a great route runner. I love Hunter Renfrow. I do. But like, you have him. You have Leggett, who had a disappointing rookie year, but he was drafted in the first pick round? In the second round, first pick of the second round.
Yeah, it was close.
It's damn close to the first round. Hopefully he steps up in his sophomore year. You have McMillan, who is going to be outstanding. A great red zone target already with his height. And he's going to be great. The tight end position is not that great, but you have Tommy Tremble, you have Jentavion Sanders.
Yeah, don't know who's starting there, but shout out to that person.
Some optimism for Sanders. He showed some flashes.
The kid from Texas. Yeah. I just feel like this offense doesn't use the tight end a lot.
Yeah, they really don't. Honestly, you know what low-key worries me, and this leads to our question, burning question, which is, are they a sneaky pick to win the division? I think they could. I mean, and let's before we even get to the players they have, let's look at the schedule, right? It's Jacksonville, Arizona, Atlanta, New England's probably a loss, but Miami.
I don't know that's probably 4-0 out the gate, and again,
if all goes well,
that's what I'm saying. You just said Jacksonville, Arizona, New England, and Atlanta.
Atlanta and New England, Atlanta and then New England.
That's an easy 3-1, 4-0.
Those teams are looking right back at Carolina, saying the same thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it could go either way, but I could see them easily go 4-0.
And then you have Miami, you have Dallas, you have the Jets. You're losing to Buffalo for sure. And then you have Green Bay. Then you have the Saints. You have the Falcons. You have the Niners. But the Niners have low-key kind of – their receiving core is very questionable, I will say. You have the Rams. Then you have your bye. You have the Saints again, Tampa, Seattle, and Tampa. We talk about the division being bad. Like, if all goes well, and think about we talk about the offense, right? And defensive, they were so bad last year. They were below, I think last in pretty much. They were last in yards allowed. They were last in rushing yards. They were below average in passing defense. But they were bad. They barely got any sacks, barely any turnovers. I mentioned 31.4 points allowed per game, which was worse than the league. But they defensively, they got some pieces, man. They got Derek Brown as long as he's
I was just
healthy.
about to say Brown. I think Luvu's still there.
Louisville is yes, I believe.
And then you got J.C. Horn. Is Chin still there? The safety.
He is. I'm trying to look at my notes here. No, he is not. Chin is gone.
What about Von Bell? Is Von Bell still there? Or no,
he is gone as well.
He's gone as well too. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I mean, we didn't talk about their defense, but because their quarterback needs to step it up too. But yes, the defense needs to improve as well. But
Yes,
if the
sir.
offense is good or elite, then you might not have to rely on the defense as much. But you definitely need some improvement there for sure.
If you can get early contribution from the pass rushers they got, Scrowan and Princely Umalianen, I think they'll be solid too. Because that pass rush they need to get to, if they can get to the quarterback, that would be great. Because their linebackers are solid too. You got Josie Jewell, you got Tevin Wallace. They don't have Shaq Thompson no more, but Jewell is a great tackler. J.C. Horn was at one point the highest paid corner in the league. I personally wanted him as a Giants fan, but thankfully he's staying in Carolina for
not at that price tag.
Nah, for sure.
Him and AJ Terrell are in the same bucket for me. I think they're good corners, but we got to stop talking about them as elite corners.
No, they're solid. They'll go get the job done.
They're solid.
Elites, the elites. We're talking like Sauce. We're talking Surtain the
PS2.
Yeah. He's solid as well. But yeah, I think defense needs to definitely take kind of step it up. And if they can just get we can get average play from that defense, and the offense could just take off with the weapons they have, I think they'll win the division. But that's just me. We'll start with 16. Do you think are they a sneaky pick to win, or are they a sneaky pick to win the division, or are we still sticking with the whole developmental kind of year for them, and maybe they'll win the division in 26?
Yeah, I'm sticking with what I was saying about them being this is sort of a developmental, sort of seeing what you have type of season from them. It doesn't mean that they're not going to really hang in there with some teams and be, around. And they're going to be, they could potentially be in my favorite category come November, that in the hunt category, where it means you're in it, but you ain't really in it. So, yeah, I feel like they'll just be middle of the pack, but dangerous. Somebody you don't want to see later on in the season if you really need to win a game.
All right. Easy. Are we kind of hopping on the sneaky pick to win the division, or are we going to just kind of be safe?
Yeah, I'll say this. Could they win the division? Sure. But I think the same way we say that Atlanta's knocking on the door, I don't see much of a difference between Atlanta's team and Carolina's team. I think they're probably on the same level, the same tier. So if Atlanta has a chance, why doesn't Carolina?
True. I like that. And I love Dave Canales. I think he's a good coach. I know 5-12 in his first year, not the greatest. But hey, he's a positive guy. Comes from Pete Carroll's kind of coaching tree, if not mistaken. So let's see how he does in his second year. He's a great young coach. And we'll see what happens, man. Him and Young will enter their second year together. So we'll see what happens. All right. Oh boy, this is gonna be fun, isn't it? I will not say much about this team because I'll let y'all take it away. But we have the New Orleans Saints. Isn't that fun or what? Oh boy!
I love the question.
Look at Nate's graphic, man.
Heck yeah, baby!
I love
Yes,
the question,
sir.
man.
Hey, that burning question is gonna be fun to answer once we get to the end of it. But Saints 5-12 last year as well, just like Carolina. But like I mentioned earlier, because of the tiebreakers and stuff, the Saints were were last in the division. But Dennis. I hate this. Dennis Allen, fired after 2-7 start last year, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And then the Rizzy guy came. The Rizzy guy came in and kind of was like this wannabe strict coach from what I remember, and that failed miserably. He went 3-5, but thank God he was the interim coach, so it's fine. But hey, low key, things were looking good that first 2 games, right? I know y'all were happy. Shoot, y'all put up. Let me check real quick my notes here. 47 against Carolina, 44 against Dallas. Oh boy. And then 12 points against Philly and 24 against Atlanta and 13 against Kansas City.
We blew that Philly game. We had them, man.
Yeah.
That Philly game is what ruined the season. Like no cap. All jokes aside, like it's a different conversation. You starting off 3-0 versus 2-1.
Yeah,
that was the start of a 7-game losing streak.
And
there you go.
Yeah,
and they were all the games were somewhat close until the bottom just fell off.
Yeah, pretty much. I think the worst loss was that 26-8 loss to the Chargers in LA. So
watch that one in person. Waste all my money. But.
Oh, don't ever do that again. No, sir. No.
Well, it's I bought the tickets before the season started, so you didn't know what to expect at that point. So
yeah, that 7-game losing streak, their first since 1999, and the 34-0 loss of the Packers was I forgot what week that was, but they were the only team last year to be shut out, and that game actually knocked them officially out of playoff contention. So that was ouch. But it's okay. It's okay. There was some positives. Okay, Derek Carr looked good in 10 games played. Had 16 touchdowns, over 2,100 passing yards. Alvin Kamara, of course, doing Alvin Kamara things. Had 8 total touchdowns, over 1,400 total yards. Last year before injuries, of course, took its toll. And things didn't look great afterwards. But hey, offseason optimism. Kellen Moore, head coach. I mean, it took you guys months before?
Well, to be fair, we couldn't have hired him any sooner. So
true.
It was very obvious that he was going to be the coach because you can't hire a coach until their season is over. So you got to let him have his Super Bowl parade, enjoy the Super Bowl with his folks, and then come on down to NOLA.
Win a little Lombardi Trophy real quick, and then be like, all right, time to go fix this franchise of New Orleans. But hey, look, this offseason, not too bad, right? I mean, look, Brandon Cooks was brought back, if I'm not mistaken. You guys recently traded Kalen Saunders away. This the big guy who got a pick last year against the Chiefs. That was fun to watch. You traded him away for I don't know why, but you got a center named Luke Fortner in return recently.
Saunders wasn't going to probably make the team. So
he wasn't. Okay, so he wasn't that. Okay, see.
Yeah.
That's why I have you guys to correct me to see if they're good or not. I don't follow the Saints as much. I just do research and hopefully we'll see if it works out.
No, fair.
Yeah. So, but the draft, look, Calvin Banks Jr., the big old tackle from Texas. He's one of my favorites. I like him. And then, that guy from Louisville. That's fine. Vernon Broughton, the tackle from Texas, and then Jonas Sanker, Danny Strutzman, Quincy Riley, the corner from Louisville, Devin Neal, the running back from Kansas. He's a quick one. Maliki Matovo, the tight end from UCLA, 6'8". That's a big dude. Maybe the next Kyle Pitts, but better. Who knows? And then Fadil Diggs. For a
7th-round pick, that's good.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. I'll take it. And then Fadil Diggs rounds up the draft class, the defensive end from Syracuse. But I swear to God, we're gonna talk about this quarterback anyway, so you might as well get out of the way. We'll start with 16, I guess. What is it? What is this quarterback room? I don't.
Okay, so first off, I feel like Nate is getting some type of sick pleasure out of knowing that the Saints are bad. Like
it's fun. I love y'all, man. That's why I was like, damn, we talk about the Saints today. Like, yeah, man, let's talk about how bad they are.
Because our group text is like funny as hell on Sundays when all this is going on. It's like, okay, so how are we gonna rag on each other this week? But all right, so let me just say this, Nate, if I can button this up for you, is that my brother will tell you, Easy will tell you that in the midst of us watching games, no matter who we're playing, I'll say something will happen. I'll be like, dang, I hope that don't come back to bite us later, because football is that type of game where you make a mistake or do something in one part of the game, and it just haunts you the rest of the game. And what's happening with the current 2025 Saints is we're paying for sins of the past right now. The salary cap issues, the not drafting the successor to Drew Brees,
not drafting
hiring Dennis Allen in the first place. I can keep going, letting Teddy Bridgewater and Jameis Winston get out the door. So all of this is us paying for the sins of the father now. With all that being said, if the Saints, if we can fix the turnover margin and get some type of identity on offense where you use Alvin Kamara, it's pretty rough when you have 15 years of Drew Brees and then you got to go out there and trot out Spencer Rattler or some dude named Shuck. We're in trouble in that aspect. But if we could find an identity where you can use Alvin Kamara correctly, get Chris Olave involved, you got Rashid Shaheed, we could be okay. And by okay, I mean not draft first in the draft type thing.
Okay.
Like I said, cut down the turnovers, find an identity, i.e., run the damn ball. And I think Moore is a good choice for the head coach. And the Saints could surprise some people by being shockingly competitive, in my view. If we can, like I said, offensive identity, run the damn ball. And hopefully the defense can swarm one more year where it don't look old. Because this is the first time I can remember Cam Jordan and Demario Davis looking kind of old back there. So if we can rekindle some of that, we might be able to not be too stressed out this season. Cautiously optimistic.
So just run the ball.
Run the damn ball.
Okay, we're not passing nothing. All right.
Just hand it off.
Man, y'all were spoiled with Drew Brees. Holy crap. Oh, my gosh.
Very.
Easy. Your thoughts on the Saints offseason and their outlook for 2025.
Let me just put it out there and just say it for the record. And I'm a fan of this team. I love this team with all my heart. So if I'm wrong, folks might come troll me and be like, you were wrong about the Saints. I'll actually be happy because I want my team to win. Mm-hmm. But this team has a chance to be the worst team in the league.
I love it. Look at that. Realistic.
And there's nothing on this roster that would make me think otherwise. Mm-hmm. But with all that being said, let's get that out of the way. You just mentioned it. We had the same record as Carolina last year, arguably with the same roster at 5-12. The Saints organization, the culture just doesn't have it in them to tank, to flat out just try to lose every game. They're going to be competitive in every game. Now, what does that look like? We don't know. But to me, we have the worst quarterback room in the NFL. Shuck or Rattler is not starting for any of the other 31 teams in the league. They're not. That's why I was joking with you earlier about Jameis Winston. We trade for Jameis Winston, he's our starter immediately. We go trade for Kenny Pickett in Cleveland, he starts for us immediately. Like, you can't tell me otherwise. Mm-hmm. What worries me, though, is just that, like, for us to get out of this rut, we haven't drafted well. And we keep taking players that just don't make sense. Tyler Shook at pick 40 almost made me give up my fandom. Made me literally want to leave the Saints. It's such a terrible pick. If he proves me wrong, then it is what it is. But he's not a good quarterback. And you know what tells me he wasn't a good quarterback? Because it took him, 6 years of college, 7 years of college to figure it out and be good? 3 different schools, probably 4.
Wait, it's 7 years? You stay there that long, you're a doctor.
That's what I'm saying.
Might as well be a doctor.
Like, you can't tell me that Jalen Milroe or Shedeur Sanders or somebody else wouldn't have been a better pick right there. Like, that pick is not a serious pick. You know what I'm saying? So, could the Saints get the number 1 overall pick? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Because I think we are about to be that bad. But I also think that there's a little too much pride in that organization, and they're going to try to win every game. And we might end up with 6 wins and missing out on whoever comes out next year. I don't think it'll be Arch. I think, it'll probably be like Nussmeier and, Lenore Sellers and Drew Allure and all those guys. But we just not serious, man. Like, I cannot stress enough how much I hated the Shuck pick. Hated it. Will Johnson, corner from Michigan, tearing it up in Arizona right now, in camp at least. He's a corner. We could have used him. Some of these receivers that went off the board, Jalen Noel, Kyle Williams, we could have used some of those guys. It's just a terrible pick. I really hope Rattler's the starter just so we can – I low-key want the Saints to suffer for that pick. It's such a bad pick. I could go on all night about how bad of a pick that was. I need Rattler to win this job just to prove a point of how bad of a pick it was. With that being said, though, I think the roster's better than what the national media thinks. We signed Justin Reed from Kansas City, the safety. Just Julian Blackmon came in, the safety from the Colts. Demario Davis is still a good linebacker. Warner. The defensive side of the ball, I'm not worried about. Offense, I'm completely whatever happens, happens. Olave, think the world of him. Kamara, obviously, we know what he can do. But offense is where all the question marks at. I think the defense will actually be okay.
Yeah, the only concern for me on the defense is they're just old. Like there's nothing wrong with being old, There's nothing wrong with
Cam
that.
Jordan's old, but Cam Jordan's probably not starting for the Saints. It's probably going to be Granderson and Chase Young, who we re-signed.
It was the first time he was ever showing signs of it.
At linebacker, Demario Davis is still serviceable, but Pete Warner and the kid we got from Oklahoma, Studsman, I think they could be solid. The cornerback's probably the only position group I'm worried about on defense, just because if we have an injury or two there, we might be in trouble. But Riley, the other kid from Louisville, who's actually could be good.
Cool.
Riley's decent. Sanker, the kid from I believe from Notre Dame, he's looked pretty good in camp. So we'll see.
The Virginia guy, yeah. I like Kool-Aid McKinstry, not because of his name, but he's solid for sure.
Solid.
Isaac Yiadom he's serviceable. I known him before from his time with the Giants. So I'm not worried about the defense. I mean, yeah, you guys were second worst last year in terms of just defense overall. But hopefully, there's not much of a concern with the defense as much as the offense, and it's just. Okay, listen, look, okay, maybe the Saints see something, they see something we don't. He's 6'5", he's 223, he's athletic, he could run a little bit, he may not have, he may have the best arm according to what scouts say, but then you have the negatives. There's there's always a reason why these guys are picked in the later rounds. You know what I'm saying? Like, for him, it's like, okay, if he was so good, then why wasn't he drafted in the first round? Well, for many reasons. He's old as heck. He's going to be 26 in September.
26. The average NFL rookie is coming in at 21, 22, 23.
Damn right.
So he would have been in his fifth season had he been drafted, like, I guess
16.
Yes. If he
was in the same recruiting class, high school recruiting class with Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence has been in the league for what, 4 years now?
Yeah, maybe this is 2021, so this would have been his fifth season. Dang, I didn't need to know that easy. I was starting to feel cautiously optimistic.
No.
You should have been optimistic anyway. The man has had 3 separate season-ending injuries in his 7 years in college.
Not good. And again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But there is nobody knew about Tyler Shough until people were talking about him at the combine. Talking about, oh man, scouts love him. He's really smart. Well, yeah, shit. He's been in college for 7 years. Of course he's smart.
Of course he is. He has so much experience. Like, he should be.
Yeah. The man came into the league with a wife. That's how old he is. He's already married.
He said that boy a grown man already.
Man, that was a terrible pick by us. Terrible.
Dylan Gabriel was a guy that you guys could have got Shadur. You could have got Quinn Ewers. I'm looking at all the court. Well, Howard was.
I would have taken Ewers over Tyler Shough.
Cam Miller, the guy.
Who's the kid? The kid that went to the Steelers from Ohio State. Howard,
yep.
Better than Shough.
One championship.
Riley Leonard, who he played in the national championship. Better than Shough.
Go Irish. Yeah.
It's a bad pick. And I get why the national media is ragging on us and saying how bad we're going to be. Because it's really because of the Shough pick. If we would have picked anybody else at 40, I think they would have been like, oh, well, Saints have a good team. We let me say this, and then we can get back.
Yes,
stop derailing your show. The Saints have the structure in place to be successful long term. It probably won't be this year. They will be bad. I just don't see it any other way. I think Kellen Moore could be a really good coach just based on what he's done as a coordinator. This is his first shot. He's been passed up on a lot of jobs. maybe he makes those teams regret it.
Mhm.
Brandon Staley is our defensive coordinator. He wasn't the best head coach with the Chargers.
It was not.
But before that, he was a great defensive coordinator with the Rams.
Dang right.
And our O-line is solid. You talked about Banks, who we picked with the 9th pick. I wasn't a fan of the pick. I think we could have probably went with another player, a pass rusher or something like that. But everybody's saying, he's going to be an all-pro left tackle. And I said, okay, that's great. But who's he blocking for? Who is throwing the football?
Yes.
We got a good O-line regardless, though, because we got Funga, who we drafted last year, who was our left tackle, and he was great. They're moving him back to his natural position of right tackle. Eric McCoy is a top center in this league. Ruiz is okay. And then, Penning, the former first-round pick, he's at guard. Like, we have a good foundation to be good long-term, but it just ain't going to be this year.
All right.
And all to mention, we're still going to be in salary cap hell, so that's always fun, too.
Trotting out Spencer Rattler. That's
or,
what we're doing.
Or Shuck. Or Jake Hayner, if he's still on the team. I'm not sure if he still is.
we need to get on the phone, like I said, with you guys for Jameis, or Cleveland, or go get Kenny Pickett, or I'm trying to think of some other backups that might be available. I would go trade, and this again, I'm not saying he's good, but he's better than what we got. I would go try to get Aiden O'Connell from Las Vegas. I think he's better than the
desperate times call for desperate.
Desperate indeed, my friend.
Get O'Connell. I would tell Saints fans out there, if you're listening, go and get your best, stiffest drink, because you're gonna need it every Sunday dealing with this team.
My goodness.
Just saying.
So, in conclusion, the Saints are number 1 overall pick bound, or not? They're not gonna be that bad. They'll just be bad.
They'll be bad, but it's gonna be not number 1 overall pick bad.
Okay.
They're gonna do just enough to be picking like 6th or 7th.
That's not good though.
And we're gonna miss out on all the elite guys, and go grab a guard or something.
It tracks completely with this organization. It tracks completely with this organization that we would have a chance to get a first-round pick instead of going ahead and trying to suck for Arch Manning or another quarterback, that we would have a decent enough season not to get a good draft pick. So you won too much.
16 knows.
Yep.
Hey, that it's on par for the Saints, man.
It's on par. It's what I come to expect for them.
The Saints have been so bad for so long in the franchise history. When Drew came in and showed us what winning looks like, and to be competitive and to have a ton of primetime games, they're trying to get back to that, and they just, without blowing it up, and it's impossible.
Literally,
this would have been the year to do it.
Had one before he ever got there. We had one playoff win in the entire franchise history. And we had just got that win in like 2000. So it ain't a lot there. I think the franchise might still be almost 150 games under 500 for the entire franchise. So we've been there, done that with the pain part of it. So it's not much they can do to scare us off. We'll be there. We'll be cussing. But no, not number 1 overall pick good, because they're going to find a way to mess that up.
417 and 480 and 5.
Okay, so we fixed it a little bit, because at one point before Sean Payton got there, the team was about 200 games under 500. And I think he won about 200 games or close to it being the head coach. But yeah, about 200 under 500 before that. That just lets you know what you were dealing with.
Well, hopefully success for the Saints come eventually. In all seriousness, as funny as they talk about the quarterback situation, hopefully maybe not this year, maybe not even the next year, but hopefully in 27 you guys are back to where you guys belong, which is on top of the NFC South. And we'll see what happens there. But right now, just suffer like I did for 6 years. Ain't nothing wrong with that, boys. I've been through it. And
I will say this though, Giants Twitter is pretty funny.
I'm waiting or what? Holy crap.
The first preseason game, everybody, it was like you guys were in unison, just all tweeting about first game in 6 years without Daniel Jones. It's like, oh man, they finally are telling the truth.
I'm telling you, man. Hey, that moon ball that Wilson threw to Buell Collins on Saturday, That was the first time I saw a deep ball that far. It's been some time. I don't see deep plays these days, man. It's always check downs and short slants and all those things. So to see a long pass down the field, it's nice to see. It's good to see what good teams can do with the quarterback. So it's hopefully we see that with Shuck. Who knows? Maybe just because he's old doesn't mean he can't sling it.
We won't. We won't.
Okay. All right. I try to be positive, but it's failing. But that will do it for the NFC South. I'm not sure if you guys have any record predictions. But for me, I'm gonna go Bucks, Panthers, Falcons, Saints as my 1 through 4 in terms of who's gonna finish from best to worst in the division. We'll start with 16. Who do you have going from best to worst, my friend?
So all this pains me, by the way. I hate this whole division.
I know.
Here we go. So it'll be Bucks, Falcons, Saints, Panthers.
Damn. So you still have the Saints going third. You don't believe in Carolina. All right.
No.
Well, at least you haven't. You're being reasonable. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
it's painful for me, but yeah.
I know, my friend. I know. Easy. Are we doing the same as 16, or do we have faith in? Or do we have faith in the Saints, or do we not?
No. For the sake of professionalism, I can just text you and tell you that the Saints are going all the way, even though that's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, give me the Bucks at 10-7 again. I don't see how they can improve the win total. You already talked about it. They have a first place schedule. It's going to be tough. NFC's tough. Give me Carolina and Atlanta with the same record. I think they'll both probably be at that 8-9, 7-10 mark. Don't really see either one of them getting to double-digit wins, 10 or 11. I just don't. And then the Saints, I think we'd be right there back at like a 5-12 or a 4-13 or whatever. The 17 games, they throw me off now because I'm so used to the 16-game records.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, lock in the Saints for like 5-12 or 6-11 or something.
Not crap enough to get the number 1 overall pick, but also not good enough. Wait, how do I say this? How do I say this? Just not a good enough record to get the number 1 overall pick. Maybe top 5.
And we won't even be in my favorite in the hunt category either. This is going to be a great
season.
And
I guess the ironic thing, and Nate, you brought this up, and you don't realize it as a new season starts, but this division literally came down to the last game of the year. Like the Saints were in it until like 2 games left or something like that. Bucks and Falcons were fighting for the division during the last week of the season. It could very well go that way, but
that would be fun to see, especially if Carolina turns. I'm telling you, man, Carolina is my sleeper for the division, man. So if everything goes to plan with the Panthers and the offense turns it up and the defense is just average, I think we got ourselves a little surprise in the South. But no, it's Tampa's division to lose, and everyone else is chasing them. So we'll see what happens here in 2025. But that'll wrap up the NFC South division previews here with our boys from the ATL show, 16 and Easy. They will be back. So this will not be their last appearance on this show, especially for this season. They will be back for this year as well. Hopefully we don't have to talk too much Saints ball, just to kind of keep them in high spirits. But regardless, they won't just be on this show. You can find them on their actual show, which I'll let the both of them here plug here. So where can the viewers and listeners find you guys for, of course, your show?
Oh, nice. So if you guys that are listening to 3rd and 10, you can follow us on Instagram at It's the Radio Show. Has our link tree that can get you to our YouTube channel as well as the audio podcast. We are a hip hop variety show, so we do a lot of talk about breaking down about the current state of hip hop, the history of it, and other current events that surround music. Nate knows about it. He's been around with us, so we get in depth. We don't take it too seriously. It's always that, tinge of humor that's there, but plenty of talk about hip hop. We play underground hip hop music. So we also mix in some sports too. As you can see, we can analyze sports as well. So, give us a like, a follow, a listen. We'd love for y'all to come check us out. And Nate, we appreciate you, bro, for having us on here on 3rd and 10.
I'm blessed, man, to work with y'all on multiple occasions, and including this one here as well. And like I said, this won't be the last time we see you guys. We'll see y'all throughout the season. we'll see, who's up there in their divisions, who's not doing so well. Well, obviously, we'll be talking fantasy as well with Easy, as he will be in the 3rd and 10 league, and we'll discuss more about that in the next episode of the 3rd and 10 podcast. But for 16, for Easy, I'm your boy Nate. We'll see you guys soon, though. Brian will be back for our next episode. We'll talk Giants, as they did defeat the Jets on Saturday. So we'll talk more then. But thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.